All right, gamers, welcome back to Pixels and Politics. Tonight, we're taking the controller and diving headfirst into the world of video games. From single-player epics to ever-evolving multiplayer, we've got it all covered. As always, I'm Blackheart, here with my co-host Dougie, and we're joined today on this pixelated journey by Bray and Alex. How's it going, you two?
It's going good.
Pretty
Heck
well.
yeah, and Alex, how are you doing?
Always doing good.
Heck yeah. Out of curiosity, what have you two been playing in the past month or two?
Mainly a lot of Last Epoch. That's kind of been my go-to game for the past few weeks or so, as well as some Battlegrounds and Hearthstone. Since it's got an update fairly recently, I enjoy both of them. Pretty much about the same.
Okay. And Alex, what about you? What have you been playing?
I've mainly been playing League, Helldivers, and a little bit of CS2.
Hmm. How is CS2?
Not as good as it used to be. Old game's so much better.
What what do you not like about CS2?
They kind of just removed like a lot of the old maps that people are used to. The game kind of feels like a lot slower now.
I disagree with that. I've played a lot of CS2 as well. I think it's a lot better. Like they took out a lot of the workshop maps, sure, but I think overall the FPS, for the most part, for me at least, is fine. I'm able to do my op shots same as I used to before. I just had to change the ratio and adjust some settings.
Mm.
I think like the servers feel better on it. It looks nicer.
It does look nicer, absolutely. I love the smokes. I love what they did with
Yeah.
incendiaries. Everything looks a whole lot nicer. The brightness settings are much more comfortable on my eyes. I just approve it a lot more personally.
Yeah.
Do the guns all shoot the same as they did in the first one, or did they change that too?
There is a slight variation, I'll say that much. There's definitely a slight variation, especially with the M4s and a little bit of the op. Op shots, I had to adjust my angle, actually by a decent variation. So originally it was I followed the cursor within like a hair frame, but now it's kind of like where it ends up, you have to adjust it so that when it stops, that it's within a certain variation of where it was before, rather than as before it was as long as you had the crouch, like as long as you press control the second that the cursor stopped, you could pretty much get the shot on point. You can't really do that anymore because of what they changed with crouch.
Okay. Interesting. So I know Alex, you said the game plays a little slower. Um, what do you mean by slower? Like just that matches take longer, or that people move in slower, or what do you mean?
I think like the gameplay itself, it feels like people move slower. I don't think they changed any of that. It just kind of feels like it. The maps seem a lot more open, and they've removed some of the old ones. It's like I think the new ones are Anubis and Ancient, and there's just a lot more on the map. There's a lot more angles, so people are taking sights slower, and there's a lot more you need to smoke and wait out for those smokes.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't like Anubis or Ancient, is because of all the different corners they have to check, as well
Yeah.
as the fact that going through certain areas is a lot more advantageous for one of the other sides in comparison. So if you're doing T side, that's going to be a lot rough because if they smoke off mid from both angles, you pretty much can't do a whole
Mhm.
lot there, and you're forced to either go to A or B, and from there they kind of just choke you out. So it's
Yeah.
pretty difficult.
And T side on Ancient has two spots you can go to mid now, so it's kind of hard to watch that. You have to watch
Yeah,
both sides.
correct.
Hmm. Okay. And Dougie, just because I don't want you to feel like you're left out, what
Yeah.
have you been playing recently?
I played Civ. I played Civ last night. Civ was a good time.
Have you like actually gotten better at the game, or?
Yeah, you know what? I have gotten better at the game, so I don't
Oh
want to hear
wow,
it.
that's awesome! Wow, that's really great. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. No league for you, Dougie.
I've played some League, yeah. I've played some League.
Some.
Okay, I
And how
played a
was
lot
your?
of League in the past 2 weeks, but
Yeah, some.
you
Yeah,
know,
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, don't try to be modest here, okay? Don't try to bullshit me, okay?
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. You're just
How
Yeah,
have you
could be
upset.
how have you
worse.
liked your?
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say I think we've played about 100 games in 2 weeks.
Jesus
Oh yeah,
Christ.
just a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Okay. All
Dude,
right, Dougie, get
a
fucking
hundred
blasted.
games in 2 weeks is nothing compared to what I would blow through in a week before, like last
It's
year, the year before.
kind of a
There's
lot.
no way, dude. That is not a lot.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
assuming that each game lasts 30 minutes and you do it for 16 hours, it's 32. Yeah, I guess technically speaking, the max you could really do would be like 420 in 2 weeks. No pun intended.
And how was your redive into League, Dougie?
Dude, at first
How
I had
was
a
it?
mental breakdown, and I was like, so like just for reference, we were playing in Diamond, and I had a mental breakdown. I was like, oh my god, have my skills really decreased this much in such a short period of time? And then I just remembered, oh yeah, Diamond has been like this since the dawn of time, and then we just climbed through Diamond like it was nothing. So, uh,
Yeah.
you know, you know, it wasn't too bad. Once I like, so we like demoted to like Emerald or something, and then I got over it, and then we just like it was kind of just straight climbing. I think from there, maybe we had like 2
After that,
bad
it was just a
days.
full sprint.
Yeah.
I think that's also like I feel like that's been kind of normal where like I've had periods where like I D rank to a certain whatever, and then you just like hit like your groove, and then you just like freaking just skyrocket up.
Part of it
I
is
don't know.
always like for me anyways, like finding which character is my carry character for that patch. So like I've messed around with a bunch of champions or even just elo because like you change champs through elos depending on like what you need to carry. But yeah, I mean once you find your groove, it's just like okay, it honestly felt easier than before. Like D2 plus felt like nothing. Like, it felt nearly the same as like low diamond. So I don't know what the hell they're doing over there, but they're messing up the elo system because yeah, those players
I think they
are.
made a mistake adding Emerald, personally. I think there was already enough of like a variation between the ranks. I think adding Emerald just made things more annoying for people that are actually at that elo.
Um,
I mean, current Emerald is just what high plat used to be, which is the worst thing you can imagine multiplied by the worst disease you can imagine. So
Yeah.
almost all of the changes they've made have had nothing to do with increasing quality of the game and is strictly to increase the amount of games played. Almost every single system update that they've implemented has strictly been focused on getting players to spam as many games as possible. It made it easier to FF. They spanned out the elo system like that, the tier rating, just so that like
Yeah.
you felt better ranking up if you had more ranks. They removed the promotion barriers again to make you feel better. Then they increased the demotion amount so that like I don't know, dude. There's a lot. I just disagree with everything
It's
they're
more
doing.
focused on
It's just
player
stupid.
retention rather than player enjoyment. Or rather than focusing on the quality, they're focusing on the quantity.
And so I think in Diamond it just felt like, I mean, it was pretty terrible. Like it was genuinely really bad. We had maybe even at like D2 plus, it felt like we had maybe one. There was like one person in the game running a team who was like clearly just well above everybody else, and then everybody else was the same from like D4 to D1. Like they were just all the same. It was just like one random guy, and everybody else was terrible, absolutely terrible. So
Yeah,
womp womp.
that's League.
Wah, wah.
Womp womp. What are you gonna do? Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've had an itch to re-download League, but I'm gonna wait until after I take care of some personal stuff here. But within a month or two, or like maybe after MSI, I might give League another try. But I'm always just like, oh man, I don't know if I want to go back. It's been kind of
I
nice
know.
being
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have to get past my 15-minute queue timers. I got 5 of them.
Oh god.
What's
Oh,
wrong with
those
you?
are the worst
So
punishment
I
ever.
boot up League. I'm like, oh, that's right, the queue timers. I'll save it for later.
Oh.
uh, yeah.
So
Well, sorry. Go ahead, Dougie.
just not to transition away from League, but totally to transition away from League. Um,
Yeah.
I did kind of want to talk about the current struggle in studios right now, the like AAA studios versus the indie scene when it comes to multiplayer games, um, and even single player games where these big studios are having so much trouble competing with these like random nobodies who just they're like solo developers and they're producing these games and they put it out at like $15 and they're smashing these $60-$70 games. What what is going on there? What's
I
happening?
think I think uh in my opinion, so the reason that the indie scene is doing so well is they've realized, and gamers too have sort of warmed up to the idea that indie studios can produce a game that's fun without it being as flashy and intricate as what the 1670 game studios are going to offer you.
I
That's
think
just my
it's
generalized take.
yeah. Yeah, if you've watched any of Steve Jobs' interviews from when he was first starting up Apple and whatnot, he talks a lot about companies and how when a company gets to become to a big size, the marketing teams start taking over the production teams, and so marketing becomes the focus and not production, which will ends up reducing the quality of the products, and that's why those big companies will lose money on all their products going forward from that point. That's kind of what's happened with a lot of these big companies and why they start to fall down. It's because they get to this point of great, great profit, great revenue, and then they start putting all their money into marketing because they think marketing is what's going to make them more money. And the CEOs hear it and are like, okay, yeah, more marketing, more marketing, more marketing. And then they get to that point where the product starts to fall apart. And when the product starts to fall apart, so does the profit and the revenue. And you've seen at least a couple of these companies just go completely bankrupt that were once made AAA games that everyone knew about, and now they just fall flat because they put too much money into marketing and they didn't put any time or investment into making a good game. And these indie companies, they hire developers, they know them on a personal basis, and they work day in and day out to make a good game, and they focus entirely on the game, and they don't waste hardly any time with marketing. And they just put out the game, and it just does better. It's a very simple solution.
Yeah, I think another part also has to be that indie games typically are much smaller, both in terms of content and scope. And so when they're developing it and creating it and building the gameplay mechanics and the art style and the music around it, there's a very specific goal in mind. Like this game is going to be this. And
Yeah,
they push it through to the end and it stays intact. Whereas like with these big mega projects, like let's take Cyberpunk for example. Cyberpunk development started what 10 or 15 years before it was actually put out. So
correct.
many technology advancements happened during that time. They see other projects come out that they have a good idea and they're like, oh, we need to include that in our game, or oh, this is considered a necessary feature that we didn't account for. And then you have to like continue to go back and redesign things, update the art style, update the graphics, make sure it all works on the new machine, the new hardware, add this feature, add that feature, and then like the bigger these projects are and the longer they take, the more likely things go wrong in the process. And I feel like that's another hemorrhage for some of the gaming industry is that for these big studios, if you don't update your game, you're gonna look like you wasted your time doing nothing on this big project. But if you do update it, it's gonna delay your project, and then it could risk, like if you started 10 years ago, the idea you had back then is nothing like the idea you had as the game finally comes out. So I feel like that's a risk of having like these bigger projects.
Yeah, as well as the technology improving and having to keep up with the Joneses as that technology increases, because you have to update the graphics, update the engine. In the worst case scenario is you're stuck on a worse engine, and then a few years down the road, a new engine comes out, and you're left with subpar graphics in comparison to what the competition's going to have from the get go.
Mm-hmm. And there may also be something to be said that, when an indie company or when an indie studio or even just an indie designer kind of comes up with these games, they have a very specific vision in mind. And because the team is so small, they can all work together around that very specific vision they had for the game. Whereas like with these big studios with so many chefs in the kitchen, right? The dish is just going to look a lot different. Or
Yeah,
even they may even get to the thing if you kind of couple it with the marketing, theory proposed before, it's like, well, we have to make a game that appeals to the greatest amount of people possible. And that is going to look a lot different than the same game if it was specifically targeting like male male gamers between the ages of 18 and 25 or
yeah,
whatever, just as an example.
yeah.
But Alex, what do you think?
I think a lot of the time, like these smaller companies, they have like a greater vision for the game and they can base their gameplay around that vision. But then these bigger companies, they kind of get caught up in trying to make that idea the main selling point, and they don't really have anything else to back it up other than that selling point of the idea. And a lot of
I could
times,
agree with that.
kind of just gets lost and they like lose their focus.
100%. And I think another example of that is these companies like Diablo 4, where they pushed celebrities like Megan Fox onto the forefront of their poster child, uh, without actually having anything about the game being involved other than Megan Fox. And then there's some other celebrities for other various games that have come out as like the poster child, and it's like they have nothing to do with the game. They're just there to sell the game. They're not there to actually promote anything.
It reminds me of the Mr. T World of Warcraft commercials.
Okay, but those
Yeah.
actually worked though.
That was actually good though. That was
Those
actually good.
worked.
Okay, so
Everyone
why
had
did
the
that
Night
work
Elf
and the
Mohawk.
Megan Fox thing didn't?
I think
Because of yeah. No, go
Uh,
ahead.
no, I think one time it's like fun, it's funny. There's novelty to it when it's the first time. Megan
Yeah.
Fox, like what is Megan Fox doing when she gets up there? Like she's not memey, she's not funny. We all know you're trying to like copy that original idea of like here's a celebrity who is being funny and
Yeah.
come just check out the ad. It's more about the ad than it is about the game. That's
Yeah,
what it
exactly.
is. Just
That's
slapping
what's annoying.
slapping Megan Fox on there, or I even Donkey just released a video actually with Will Smith.
Of Will Smith in the Chinese fucking zombie game? Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
it's a great example of the same situation where it's just like, hi, I'm Will Smith, I'm in the game, come play my game. It's just like, dude, consumers, especially gamers, are not that stupid. They're just not.
Yeah.
They're not that dumb. You can't just slap someone on there and think that people are gonna go nuts over it. Like, they're just not that stupid, man.
No, they're not.
I do want to give credit to indie developers because, like you said, they do have to work their asses off to create some of these products, and even after the game comes out, they have to spend maybe even double the amount of time with more people keeping the product up to date and getting it to the quality that people kind of expect once you do start paying for it. Um, and then I think another thing is the innovation that has kind of the innovations that have been made in the past few years when it comes to ease of development. I mean, you can pretty much download Unity on your computer, right now and start creating a game just by
Developing a game,
yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be hard. You can create mini games in Fortnite and Roblox or whatever. Like the amount of space there is for one person to just jump into the gaming field. You guys ever see the Pirate Software guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thor.
I see all of his videos all the time.
Sure, I mean he's super popular right now, but like he's a big advocate for that. It's just like, hey, it's not hard, man. Just jump into the field, and not just using these already ready available tools, but straight up like trying to program too. So I think there's a lot of things at play here. What have found most interesting is the big studios, their reactions to it haven't been, oh my god, we need to be more competitive. Um,
Yeah.
or even like start scooping up some of these people. Their reaction has been like, "Oh, we need to charge more, or we need a new monetization policy."
Yeah.
It's just like,
Oh my god, don't get me started on the monetization. Oh my god.
Yeah. Monetization has
Dragon's
become.
Dogma.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, $2
Oh
a
my
piece
god.
for every little thing. Every little thing. You want to change your character? $2. Oh, you want another
You want to
character?
access your
Too
save
bad.
file? Access your save file, $2. Character customization, $2. Oh, you want to revive yourself after this fight? $2. Oh my god. Fast travel, $2.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Like,
That's not
okay, so
including the
convenient.
FPS issues.
Yep.
FPS
Mm.
issues, the various NPCs that keep vanishing in and out when you go through towns. It's not including the fact that you don't really get to have more than one character anyway. So there's nothing you can really do. You'd have to stick with the same character. So if you want to change something about it, you can't do it unless you pay the $2, which is ridiculous. And the
Yeah.
reality of it is, a lot of these YouTubers that did reviews on it, I think something that isn't really discussed is that they more than likely had to sign an NDA. They may not have disclosed that in a lot of their reviews because they couldn't. And so they've been getting a lot of hate for it when in reality they just had to review a game and they didn't really think of it as an issue at the time because they didn't even know what they were technically reviewing, which is
Yeah,
something
well,
that
it
needs to be
also
discussed.
well the mini monetization also like wasn't really marketed prior to launch.
No.
Like it wasn't they didn't just go out and say, "Oh, by the way, this is all going to be behind a paywall," right? They're just like, "This is going to be Dragon's Dogma 2." And guess what? The original Dragon's Dogma had none of that stuff. I mean, they had
Nope.
DLC, right? They had Dark Arisen, which like is your sort of traditional additional story, additional equipment, additional whatever, which like is a lot different than, "Oh, we're going to offer all these, insta win things or we're going to offer
Yep.
like certain options that like you would expect out of a RPG nowadays behind an extra paywall. Especially because I think here, actually, let me look it up right now. The base game is 70, right? Or is it only 60?
I believe it's 70.
All right. I'm gonna verify on Steam right now just to be sure, but I think you're right. I think it's 70, which like that makes it even a little more ridiculous to me because it's like
Yeah,
it's
$60
$70
has been
base
the
game.
staple. Yeah,
Yeah, and then
$60
all the
has been
DLC.
yeah.
Yeah, you add all the DLC on top of that, it's like another $20 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is like, oh, you died, so like $2 every time you want to revive and not lose all your progress because oh look, you forgot to fucking auto save.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
It's ridiculous. And the
Dragon's Dogma
reality
is
of it is, if
Yep.
people want this to change, the best thing they can do is simply not buy it and not pay attention to it. That is the best thing you can do. If you want stuff like that to change, is to simply never purchase the game.
Yeah, I actually had it purchased and I refunded it because I
Yeah.
was not super happy with how like if it had been marketed up front, I'd have maybe been more okay with it. But the fact that they like didn't make any mention of it because they likely knew that was going to impact their sales,
Yep.
and then they just fucking do that shit. It's just like no, not how this works, guys. No, nope.
And not only that, but you can tell that there's like no optimization done, or rather the lack of the ability to optimize in the game. If you look at a lot of the UIs, the font is pretty standard. There's not really any shading done to any of the user interface. It's all very bland. It looks like it was done in Unity over the course of a few months. So it's not really something that I would consider $70 tier anyway.
Yeah, which sucks because I actually loved the original Dragon's Dogma. That's like one of my favorite RPGs.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure.
then this shit happens. It's like, I was actually so pumped to play it last weekend, and then I saw like all the microtransaction stuff, and I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna refund it.
Yeah, I didn't. Once I saw the microtransaction stuff, I just didn't even really consider it an option at that point.
Yeah, I think I saw some today that they walked back some of the stuff, but I'm still like, like I'm probably gonna
Yeah,
wait for this to go on sale before I buy it. If I ever do, I may not.
They will need to do updates for sure. People are not just gonna buy blindly at this point. They're gonna wait because now they've most likely refunded their purchase if they didn't play for more than 2 hours, which I doubt most of them have, considering even top end computers are struggling to handle the game at a consistent frame rate.
Which is crazy because I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Most people don't have a top end rig, so if you're trying to boost, yeah, whatever. We can go down that rabbit hole another time, but yeah, dude, the microtransaction thing. Oh man, oof.
Yeah, getting on everyone's nerves.
I think it's
Yep.
crazy that
And I really hope that doesn't become industry standard. I really don't.
I agree.
But especially not for like a single player game. Like so for a game like League, right? You have the option for the microtransactions almost always for like cosmetic stuff. I mean, like there used to be the whole like you could buy extra like runes and like XP.
Yeah, rune
and,
pages. Yep.
Yeah, but even they did away with that even, and now it's all like you know like League is marketed as like, hey, this is a free to play game, and you will always have your character. Like there are no character customization options unless you want to buy skins, and even that's not customizable. It's just a what outfit do you want your character to wear. Whereas like in an RPG, I would expect, especially for Dragon's Dogma, I would expect the ability to not only customize my main character, but also the main pawn that you get, um, among other things. And it's like, okay, so you're selling me a game that technically has less features than the original for like extra money.
Yeah,
Does not compute.
it's not viable. It will never be viable, and that's the thing. Because if you want to have microtransactions and charge people $70 for a game, you're not going to do well in the market. That's just how it is. Now, if you offer a free to play game with no pay to win and all your microtransactions are cosmetic, if your game is popular enough, you will make a decent profit. You'll make a very decent profit. I think Riot Games is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Alex, you
Now,
were gonna say
granted,
something there?
I was just gonna say that I think it's crazy for a game that just came out. If you look at the Steam page, there's 21 separate things you can buy considered DLC that just alter like the gameplay. They're not even just cosmetic.
yeah, the
it's
DLC
very,
list for
very
that is
poor.
huge. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Nope.
But now, pay to win games, just because that got brought up, I actually think pay to win games can be pretty popular and can be pretty fun. The ones that come to mind are card games, which are by definition pay to win.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you right there because I play a lot of card games. I play Magic the Gathering. I play Hearthstone. I've been playing. I played Hearthstone since 2015. I've been top 500 in North America at one point. Hearthstone is not a pay-to-win game. Like everyone will say that, especially people that haven't played it for as long as I have will say it, because they'll lose in a game, they'll lose to a deck where they have all these cards, and they'll say, "Oh, it's pay to win." It's not pay to win. It's pay to skip. Like for example, when you start out in the game, you can bump up your account. You can bump up the amount of packs and whatnot for free, and you can build a decent starter deck to make it to that can make it to legend. That is a legend viable deck without spending any money at all. That's what I do every season. Is I'll play a few games a day or whatever, and then when the next expansion comes out, I'll just disenchant all the cards and I'll make a new deck. I'll wait for the meta to settle, and then I'll typically just get to around legend with that deck. So it's not pay to win so much as it is pay to skip the time it takes to acquire a certain deck.
I think in certain facets of Hearthstone, yes, but I think there have also been times where like they've had those little side adventures, right? Where like you have to pay for them, and the cards available are only able to be acquired by playing and beating it. Isn't that right?
That used to be the case.
Okay.
Back in the day. And so at that point in time, yes, it could be considered pay to win, because if you wanted to build certain decks that were legend tier, you had
hmm
to purchase those adventures. But
Yeah,
they
they don't do
stopped
that
doing
anymore.
those. They no longer do that anymore. So
Oh,
nowadays,
okay.
all their adventures are for free. They don't really provide any cards. They mainly provide only cosmetics at this point, like card backs. And if you want
Mhm.
cards, you simply have to purchase packs or purchase random bundles that appear in the store. So there is no more adventures
Oh, I
for
actually didn't know they changed
purchasing.
that.
Yep, they changed that.
I have a
So I
question
think it's a good.
out of
Yep.
curiosity. What are your guys' favorite genre of games?
I would have to say strategy games. Any game that like invokes strategy in either an action setting or a turn-based setting.
Good choice. I'm a big fan of strategy games as well. Well,
Yep.
like MOBAs are fine. MOBAs involve strategy. I like turn-based strategies like Civ and Fire Emblem. I've been playing
Yep.
Unicorn Overlord recently, which has been really fun.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, those are probably my favorite genres.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like the genre doesn't really matter to me, just as long as the game's fun.
Hmm. Okay, that's fair. I
That's
Like
fair.
also
RPGs. RPGs.
Yeah, RPGs are pretty standard.
I find it
Yep.
so hard to get into RPGs personally, but
Yeah, well, you're
Yeah.
allowed to be wrong, Dougie. It's fine.
Yeah.
no, I think
Yeah, it's
most of
okay.
them are terrible. I think most of them are so boring and slow, but there are some good ones out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I
not everyone's
think
gonna be a winner.
Yeah.
some of the best RPGs are actually visual novels. Like if you've ever played a visual or like I guess you could say read, but you do get to make choices in a lot of them. In visual novels where obviously it's a role playing game, you play as a specific person. But a lot of them have like very meaningful philosophy and characters that you can dive into. More so than you can like actual RPG games, like World of Warcraft or what have you. And at this point, and that's the issue with big companies. Once again, they lose sight of the product and they focus too much on the marketing, and so the product suffers as a result. Which is why Warcraft's storyline has just kind of fallen apart. And hopefully it'll pick back up in the next expansion. But at the current moment, it's not particularly entertaining, at least not to me.
Yeah. Why do you find it hard to get into RPGs, Dougie? Is it just lack of action gameplay or lack of competitiveness or
Okay. Well, first I have to throw out turn-based strategy games immediately. I can't. It's just they're way too slow. I don't find them fun at all. There's
wait,
usually like,
wait, hold on a
Play
second. You play
Civ.
Civ. What do you mean?
Yeah,
oh,
isn't that a turn based?
well, okay.
Are you talking about turn-based RPGs? You mean like JRPGs?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Final Fantasy or
Oh
like
God.
old Final Fantasy?
Okay, I can understand that. I actually
Yeah.
despise Final Fantasy.
Well, I just think like if you're gonna play those games, like the action side of it isn't that fun. There's like one way usually to win. There's like one optimal way to use your characters and abilities. I'm sure they're not all
I know
like
what you
that,
mean.
but in general, there's to min max those games. I don't know. I'm just not a fan. So unless the story is super compelling, I'm just not about it at all. And during those times where you're like doing the turn-based combat part, I'm just falling asleep. I'm like literally snoozing. Like I'm not a fan. I think Civ's a
I-
little different because there's still a lot of mid-maxing that you can do, and I hate that. Um, but there's still enough variety that I'm not like, I'm not re-seeing the same scenes over and over again. And sometimes the bugs that happen in that game just make it more fun.
Yep.
So,
I feel the same way about Final Fantasy Online. Final Fantasy Online has the worst combat of any MMO RPG that I've ever played. Like it is so dull and uninteresting and unfun. You're pretty much just focused on dodging the entire time, and you have a basic 2.5 GCD, which is global cooldown, and then you have a few cooldowns that you have that aren't on the GCD, which have like a cooldown of like a minute or a minute 30 or 2 minutes, or even longer sometimes. So you're essentially pressing one button, and you're waiting 2.5 seconds, and you're pressing the button again. And there's no real way for you to change that to a significant extent for the most part. And you're essentially just spending most of your time just dodging abilities and doing mechanics and just pressing that one button every 2.5 seconds. Whereas
yeah,
in World of Warcraft, it's not like that.
I also think you usually find a game that either has a great story and then the combat's kind of mid, or you have great combat and then the story's kind of mid. And it's really
Yeah.
rare you find a game that like both the combat and the story are enough that you're just like, wow. Like I think Dark Souls stands out for that reason. The combat's
Oh
great,
yeah.
and then I've heard the story is amazing, even though there's like no actual um like
Dialogue.
like dialogue, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, Elden
It's a
Ring
unique way of
was
storytelling.
yeah. Elden Ring is the best game I've ever played, hands down, and it has the best storyline, hands down, of any RPG that I've ever played. Like you just see all these different scenes, and you get to experience all these different characters that don't really say a whole lot, but you understand it on like a visual level, based on what your character has to go through to meet them, and how they act when you're in front of them. And it's always a very enjoyable experience because I played it multiple times. And just seeing the different endings, the Erd tree burning, losing Melina to her having to burn the Erd tree, commit a cardinal sin, like all those different things and all those symbolisms just really piece it all together to just make it an amazing game. It will always be my favorite, at least unless something else comes out. Elden Ring 2, cough cough.
Dougie and Alex, what are your favorite games?
Honestly, I think Elder Scrolls Online was my favorite game I've played.
That's
Really?
fair.
Hmm.
That's fair.
This
What about
I
you,
didn't.
Dougie?
I think
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts is like something that stands out to be as like one of my favorite games. I don't know if it's like nostalgia or like what, but
Oh,
I don't
it's
know.
almost certainly nostalgia, but sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Gotta get
Kingdom
ready for
Hearts
the
2.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It's like right in the childhood feels. That was so good. It was a good game. I don't know.
It
I just
was.
love it. There's been a lot of good games since then, but yeah, I don't know. I tend to be more of a simulation game enjoyer or like management games. I don't know why they're just like so
Yeah.
soothing to my brain. I could just kind of cue them up and
Economy based games. I remember Andy explained it to me one time where like the way things like Sims or like City Skylines or like
yes,
Game
yes.
Dev Tycoon, Roller Coaster
Yep,
Tycoon,
yep.
those games have
Farming
such
Tycoon. Yep.
yeah, they're like they have such immediate gratification. Like the pace of the game is so quick and it usually like hits that like the height or like the peak of like gamer ecstasy so fast. The struggle is that a lot of those games don't have like the legs to continue it, if that makes sense.
No, no, I hard
Like
agree. There's a new
yeah.
supermarket game that came out, and a lot of people were playing the shit out of it, and it looks a lot of fun. Like it looks like a good time, but like it gets really repetitive really quick, and so it's just
Hmm.
one of those games that procked up and immediately died within like 2 weeks, and it's just like damn, eh.
Yeah. Very few economy games really like I guess get over that hump. Like I know City Skylines was like mega popular for a long time. Sims, obviously, that's a little bit more of like a life sim as opposed to an economy game, but it's at least tertiary related. Game Dev Tycoon is one that like I loved a lot, but like once you beat it, you're just like, okay, well, I know how to beat it now, and then you can't play it again for like a year until you forget it.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
can't stand those kinds of games. I have too much ADHD. Like I need to be doing something. I can't sit there and just like manage something. It makes me feel like I'm doing a job, like I'm working for free. I can't do it. Like I need to be like doing strategy or like using my reaction time to win in an event in a game or something. I can't do that.
Yeah, I think my favorite game, like my nostalgia game or the game that I loved as a kid, was Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
And I loved the remake that they did, even though it was like super short. It was just chef's kiss. But I think if I had to choose like adult me having to choose a game, I'd say maybe like Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn is probably my favorite.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, or the Radiant series in general. You package it up with the prequel or like the one before it. It's just it tells such a good story.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
Good. I also
Good.
liked wait, good. Yeah. I mean the game I played most though has been like League of Legends. Like I don't think it's
Oh, of
close.
course.
It's
Yeah, no.
which is weird because like nobody I don't know, most people that do play League don't say League is their favorite game. It's just the game they play the most.
Yeah.
It's just never felt like a game to me, so it's really hard for me to comment. I swear to God, it's never felt like a game to me. Never
whole
ever have I
lifestyle.
queued up ranking. I'm like, this is a game. I'm gonna have fun. No, I like queue up, and I'm like, gotta make sure my coffee's on the left side, drinks are on the right, keyboard's in position, mouse is where it needs to be, and I'm about to fuck these motherfuckers up, dude.
And then you go in first blood every game, baby.
And then I still win anyway and climb higher than you every single year. So shut the hell up, man.
Hey, I'm not the one that's been Emerald this year, okay? So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of like a mental illness. Like League is like a mental illness.
No, I agree with
Like,
that
David.
statement.
Yeah. Yeah, like for 7 years, like for 7 years, I was depressed for 7 years. You don't say that. You say "Yeah, I played League for 7 years, or like I had both my legs chopped off in a train accident, and I couldn't walk. And then eventually I got prosthetics, but that wasn't for 7 years. And instead of saying that, you just say, "Oh yeah, I couldn't walk for 7 years because of League." That's pretty much how it feels like.
Oh,
Gosh, sometimes I still feel the itch to go back though. It just never
Yeah.
leaves.
something ain't right because I think all of us can say that we've had that itch. Something's not right, bro. Lee's got the mind virus. Like, that shit ain't right.
It's the sound of killing minions, man. That little
Is that what it is?
sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it
See,
is. That or
that
like
sounds
when
r-
your enemy like
yeah.
tells you to go like jump in front of a train or lay in traffic because you just beat their ass so bad. That
No,
just feels really good.
I think it's the feeling of shitting on my opponent and then I get out of the game and I get my fucking LP and I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Like, fuck you, losers. Like, I'm on the way to the top. I don't know.
I feel like it's like it met my expectation. Like I won. Okay, good. That's what was supposed to happen anyway. And if it didn't happen, then I was gonna throw my keyboard across the room.
If it didn't happen, it wasn't my fault. The game sucks.
It's more of negative reinforcement rather than positive reinforcement.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I think Riot Games definitely invest most of their currency into psychologists rather than marketers or even game devs. I think they actually just
True.
probably just beat up their developers when they're asleep. They just go inside their house and they just beat their developers up so they all quit.
It's actually
I think
just freak. It's just freak.
It's
He has
just
like
freak
this
at
like
this point.
sock filled with like dimes. He just hits people with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just he just sneaks in the middle of the night. Like, hey, we need the GitHub. We need to pull the code. We need to pull it. Come on, let's go. Get out of bed.
I hope he does that to whoever made Smolder.
Yep, absolutely.
Dude. Oh my god. I will say something that COVID kind of changed gaming a lot, and it really brought all of the uh, platforms together. There was like a huge emphasis on cross-platforming games and party games kind of propping up. And I've actually
Yeah.
really enjoyed that. I think that's pretty cool. We were all really separated before, but like the rise of party games has been so fun. I mean, it's been a little frustrating too, but like Among Us and
Lethal
Phasmo,
Company.
Lethal Company, that's a popular one. Pummel Party,
I love Lethal Company.
So I think that's been cool, and I kind of look forward to see how that field of gaming evolves.
I agree. I think Animal Crossing was really big during the start of COVID.
Dude.
Like it really just it created
yeah.
a huge section, like a huge gap of time that was just filled with Animal Crossing.
I don't understand that phenomena, TBH.
It's just an economy game, man.
Yeah, it's just an economy game, and it was like the first, like it was like the only economy game that I played. Like one of the first Animal Crossing I had was for the DS, where you had Resetti, who would just pop up out of the ground and just beat the shit out of you with his pickaxe, and then be like, "You got to reset your game." And you're like, "Okay, fine." And you just sitting there crying. Go back inside your house, squash, kill the roaches. It was a good time. Except there's no resetting anymore. He's gone.
Have you guys seen the Sony new handheld?
So new Sony. No, I've not.
Oh, it's like the Steam Deck. I think that's what it's called, the Steam Deck.
Like this, is it the one that's like supposed to remote connect to a PlayStation?
I don't know if it does that. I just know it's like it's the evolution of the
The-
PSP or whatever, where it's this new handheld. I mean, it's basically like a fucking tiny monitor that you hold in your hand. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm,
it's. I
I'm
think
kind
it's
of.
the. Oh no, wait. Oh, you're right.
Did this one the PlayStation Portal?
Maybe that's what it's called. I actually don't know the name.
Yeah. Is that their next full-fledged console? Or is it just
Oh
like
no.
a
This
handheld
that's
they're
an
doing?
insider report. That's an insider report.
I'm
So
pretty
the
sure.
portal's already been out for like a year. So it's like it's not the portal. So there's rumors going around that there is a new PSP like handheld that's going to be coming out.
Oh,
And hopefully they do a good job with it because I enjoyed the PSP when I had a PSP. I thought it was excellent. There was a lot of cool features in it,
Yeah.
like the
Nintendo
MP3
should be.
player, the camera,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. Nintendo should be coming out with their next console here soon too. But
Yeah,
they're
hopefully it
always
can.
rumored. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
always rumors
hopefully.
around it. But I've actually heard Microsoft is going to get out of the console race.
like
Have
no
you
more
heard?
Xbox? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
like take away Xbox. Yeah,
More like
I,
they
like
buy
that's what I've heard.
Nintendo and Sony. That's more like what's happening.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say this. I think consoles. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I assume they've kind of decreased a bit in terms of profit, just because you can get more value from just flat out buying a computer. Um,
Yeah,
No, I think they still sell quite a bit. I mean, they still move a lot of units. I think Nintendo kind of hit like a weird fever dream where they're just like we're just gonna go all in on the sort of handheld portable aspect, right? And they had like the console that could be both mobile and plugged into your TV for like a true console, and I think that worked well for them. And
yeah,
then you had Sony, which was like your sort of like console powerhouse. It had a good library behind it. Microsoft was supposed to be the better technical one, but it just didn't have a game library to back it up. And their studios haven't been producing very well. So I think the last
Bungie.
thing that I heard was that like Microsoft was going to stop making consoles, but was instead going to um, make either merge or like kind of help another video game competitor like make the hardware, and then that other company would just make games. Period.
yeah,
Or like
yeah. I
they'd make
think
the OS for it, rather.
I think Xbox is a great budget option for people that don't really care too much about gaming. They just want to relax for the most part and just do something for like a couple hours before they have to do something else because their days are usually busy. Like for like the dad that has like a family, I think the Xbox is perfect.
Yeah. Whereas PlayStation has, like a lot of like the longer winded RPGs.
Yeah,
Thinking like God of War and Horizon Zero West. Although Horizon Zero West came out on the PC as well.
yeah.
Um,
But something that I didn't expect though was that new Final Fantasy online expansion Dawn Trail is going to be available on the Xbox. So I was not expecting Square Enix to be moving their product also over to Microsoft's end of things, which is interesting.
yeah, Square's been branching out with Nintendo a little bit too.
Yeah,
They've
which is
been kind of opening
interesting.
themselves up. I mean, it makes more money for them, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like consoles are still profitable. It's just they're hitting a stage of the competition now where like Nintendo has its carved its piece, and then like basically PlayStation and Microsoft were duking it out with like their own little space, and it seems like PlayStation has like won that battle, and
yeah,
Microsoft has been unable to reclaim the glory days of like the original Xbox and like the surge of popularity it had in the 360 era,
yeah,
and now it's kind of just falling off. That's at
yeah. I
least what my
miss.
take on
Yeah.
it is.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I miss the old Xbox days. So those are some of the best times for consoles, especially when Halo 2 was a thing and Halo 2 Online. Oh God,
Yeah.
it was just so
Or the
much
Red
fun.
Ring of Death.
Oh, the Red Ring. Oh God, that was Microsoft being cheapo a little bit, but the Xbox was still like the primary console at that point. Even like the PS3 still wasn't like fully fledged out. I don't think I had a
What
PS3, but yeah,
I feel like where the PS3 really like edged Microsoft out there was it had free multiplayer, and Xbox did the whole like Xbox Live, Xbox Pass stuff.
yeah,
And they lost, I feel like, a lot of the online gaming community to that, where they had a stranglehold on it for so long. I think it was maybe they anticipated that would have lasted, which is odd because PlayStation then also made you pay for the online, right, on PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
But at that point, the damage had kind of already been done.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Only reason I purchased a PS4, this was back in 2014, was entirely because of Destiny. When Destiny first came out, like that was the thing. Like it was crazy. Like everyone was playing it. I remember I stayed it for 2 days straight during school just to play Destiny. Like 48 hours just straight up awake, just because I didn't want to, risk falling asleep, during times where I could be playing Destiny. And it was just amazing. I loved that game so much, and then they ruined it. They absolutely demolished it. But yeah, it was a good time.
Alex, what do you think?
I feel like consoles are just a lot easier for people to get into. Like you said
Yeah.
about like the father coming home, he can just, all he has to do is just buy the console. Most families already have a TV, so you don't have to worry about monitors, peripherals, any of that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
It's just easy to get into. Most of the time, it's cheaper too.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's how it is for a lot of families. They at least like majority of families at least have like one kind of console in their living room.
Mhm.
And so for the dad that's just coming home from work, it's easier to just sit on the couch and just pick up the controller rather than boot up a
It's easy to
computer.
do co-op
Yeah.
sessions on it. If you have kids, they can share it.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to change over time. I think eventually PCs will end up dominating the console platform entirely, and consoles just won't exist anymore. And it'll just be people that use controllers and different
Mhm.
monitors for their computers, and that'll be pretty much it.
Well, there's some games right now that are already using controllers for like the pro scene, like Apex. That's a big one.
Yeah,
Already.
yeah,
It's because of the
yeah.
auto aim, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, did you see that hacking incident recently
Mm-hmm.
with Apex?
A 15-year-old took over.
Yeah, they took over and they injected cheats into people that were in the tournament. It was
Oh, I
actually
heard
really,
about that.
yeah, it was really funny to watch. The dude screaming like, "I got aimbot! I got aimbot!" And his teammates are just like, they have no clue what the hell's going on. Like, what do you mean you got aimbot? Like, just like shut, like turn off your, turn off the game, leave the game. It's like, do I just leave the game? I can't shoot. I have aimbot.
Imagine that one guy who's like, guys, I got aimbot. I'm enabled. I'm going in.
Yeah, it was
Going
pretty
beast
funny.
mode.
Guys, I don't know what's happening. I can see everything. This is
No, that's
great.
literally what happened. Another guy got wall hacks. Another one, he got wall hacks injected. He's like, guys, I can see everything. And they're just like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, wait,
I'm
they're like,
enlightened.
wait, you got wall
I've
hacks?
become enlightened.
Yeah, he's like, I can see everyone. And they're like, don't shoot anyone. Just leave the game. Leave the
Oh,
game.
man.
God,
That's so
that's
funny.
fucking awesome.
How do you guys feel about the? I mean, we're kind of entering an age where these cheats are like so easy. They're just available.
Prevalent.
And they're everywhere. And the only like real way to stop them, kind of, AI is going to change that, but the only real way to stop them is for them to have these really intrusive programs like Vanguard,
Yeah.
like Riot's Vanguard in your system. How do you guys feel about that? I feel like that's kind of something that's inevitable at this point. But
I mean, I agree with it personally. To protect the integrity of games, so long as two things: one, that the program is not being controlled by an AI,
or
and two,
CCP.
that the yep, or CCP. Yep. I mean, no. We love China. China's great. China is
No,
an
we no,
excellent country.
no, you're not on this podcast. We don't.
Listen, I have a social credit score to protect. I'm
Oh,
not gonna
sorry, my
have
bad,
you
dude. My
delete
bad.
it.
My bad. I
Oh,
take it
plus
back.
15 to my account. Cool. All right. Anyways, yeah. So, and as well, I would also need it to be so that it's not controlled by AI and that it is incredibly secure. So that way no one can hack into it and gain access to my information that's being transferred through my router. That's about it. That's only two caveats I have for that. No AI and it has to be secure. Other than that, I have no issue with it.
Alex, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you
Go ahead,
summed it up,
Alex.
pretty good right there. I think it kind of just
Yeah.
comes down to how intrusive it is, but I don't think it's something that people should, have any kind of like negative ideas towards. All it does is, help everyone.
Correct. And it's like that's another issue with CS2. Is there are games where you're going to go up against people that'll toggle. So you'll notice that they're toggling because they'll leave the game, they'll come back in, and then, oh look at that, their score is suddenly improving pretty significantly. And it's like what they're doing is they're toggling, they're turning on their aimbot, their wall hacks. Usually it's wall hacks because it's a lot easier to detect aimbots than it is wall hacks. But with wall hacks, they can kind of just pretend they don't know where you are and just keep their cursor closer to your head than they normally would, which gives them a pretty significant advantage. And they have to go through Overwatch, which is like a system where players review it. I don't know if they still have that in place, but that people would review the footage of players that were suspected, and they would determine whether or not they were cheating themselves.
Cheating in
But
Overwatch? What is that, dude? What is that about?
no, Overwatch. That's just
it was a system that lets you watch games. It's called the Overwatch system.
Yeah.
Huh.
So you can like spectate games and be like, yeah, this guy's cheating, or
That's
no,
so
this guy looks good.
cringe, man. That's so cringe.
And some of the wall hackers are very, very good. Some of them are very, very good. I would be willing to bet there's a lot of like professional CS2 players that use wall hacks that just haven't been caught yet. That's just how prevalent it is. I'm willing to bet money on it. And it's like with Vanguard, you don't really have to worry about that issue at all, because I'd be willing to bet money that Riot Games has put a lot of investment into their pro scene, and they need to protect that pro scene at all costs. And so I'd be willing to bet money that their Vanguard program has all the potential archived cheat detection in their system. So every potential cheat that exists online, I'd be willing to bet money that they have it all in there. So it doesn't matter what you use, you're going to be caught from a straight up kernel level.
Yeah, keep seeing all the scripting Zerats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. What's that about? Hold on. Vanguard, do your job. Have you guys seen the?
Yeah.
Have you seen the monitor that has an AI in it that like it'll I mean it kind of cheats for you. Like it'll ping where
Yes.
wards and champions are and blah blah blah. Have you seen that?
I have. Yeah.
Yep.
How do you stop
Yeah,
that?
I've seen that.
How do you stop that from happening?
The only way you can stop it is with another AI. That's unfortunately the only way you can stop something like that is with AI detection, which is another issue. Because if someone starts using AI, or if AI becomes powerful enough to where it's able to cheat, the only way to stop it is to use another AI to prevent it.
If it's housed in your monitor, can they actually detect that?
Correct.
Like
if you have an AI if they have an AI that's keeping watch over the game and different game, decisions that are being made in the game, if you have an AI that is aware that something like that exists and you teach it to look for certain patterns like that, it will 100% be able to detect it. So but the issue is the only way you can do that is using an AI. You can't use a regular anti-cheat for that because there's a good chance it's either going to be inaccurate or it's just straight up not going to work at all.
Interesting. I am looking forward to not so much the advantages AI gives players, but just the way the systems will evolve working alongside AI, because I think stuff like that will actually become integral to these games.
Yeah.
And there'll be less emphasis about trying to stop it and more about working within and around it.
Correct.
So
I think. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I think systems like that are actually really cool. It kind of gives you an overview of what you can expect, not just like in League, of course, but in other games, and you know maybe you're like watching a YouTube video or something, or you're watching a video for an assignment, like homework assignment, but just the different things you could do with a program like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think AI is it's actually made people actually somewhat dependent on AI, just the existence of it.
Yeah,
Because
like
people,
if you need to write
Go
an
for it.
intro for your podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You need an intro for the podcast. You need to write an essay, and you have all these anti-AI that are literally in high schools now, where teachers are having to use anti-AI detection systems to determine whether or not the students are using AI to write the essay. And
I don't want to move it too far away from gaming because that could be a conversation that goes on its own show, but for sure.
But AI has definitely advanced a lot, for sure.
Yeah, something
and it's
As something I also look forward to is the use of AI in video games when it comes to like NPCs and I actually see a gaming world, an evolution in gaming where it's less about PvP and kind of back to PvE,
Yeah,
which I don't think we've seen in quite a while, just because players have gotten so smart. We've learned to abuse the shit out of bots.
everything.
Yeah,
Yep.
What
I think
about
that would be really
Doombots?
interesting.
yeah, well, yeah. No,
Yep.
Doombots is a great example. Like, and the only way they made Doombots work was they had like made them ridiculously powerful, right?
Yep.
But imagine a game or in League, I guess is the best example here, where the bots like are actually reacting to what you're doing constantly, and they're kind of evolving their own strategies to play the game. But even just outside League, more what I'm thinking is like any zombie game you've ever played, or even old Halo, when people were like, "Wow, these fucking these monsters they like react so well." That was just really good programming, and it was at a time where we didn't really have shit like that. But now we can kind of go back to that phase of gaming, that period of gaming where the monsters were like terrifying. Like you had to fucking focus and try hard to win, and it wasn't just about it was just about knowing what their move was going to be, but it won't be about that anymore. Now it'll be like this: we have to react on the spot against this NPC.
Yeah. I can imagine. I think it'd be really cool to have an MMO where the final boss is an AI that is like more powerful than other players by a fairly significant amount, but not like an insane amount, to the point where it's able to perfectly utilize and adapt to the situation, which would make it the most difficult boss to ever exist in a game because of the AI. And I think that'd be a really cool final boss for people to go up against in an MMO. And that's something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
One day.
I'm just mostly co-op games for me. Any co-op game, I just miss them so much. But unfortunately, they're just kind of dead beyond visual novels. Actually, like that
Yeah.
the game about the convicts or whatever.
Yep.
But we can
Yeah,
finally go back
100%.
to that where co-op games they matter more. Even in Minecraft, you think about Minecraft. Imagine the fucking creepers group together and team up on you. They start plotting
Oh
against you in
god.
the game, dude.
Blow up
you
your
know.
house for no reason.
Yeah. Start building. They start picking up The Endermen are picking up blocks and building a bridge over your house, and the creepers are jumping
Yeah.
off, jihading you.
Yep. Yep. Endermen are grabbing obsidian, trapping you in obsidian when you wake up.
Yeah. That's the shit that I'm kind of like waiting for. I know right now the the focus is kind of just creating interactive NPCs in terms of dialogue, which is fair because most of the models are like they're just text models, they're just producing text. But
Yep.
I really look forward to when AI is fully implemented in games. I know Nvidia is making huge progress when it comes to kind of smaller AI and smarter AI,
Yeah.
and something that can be used by people more accessibly across the world, which is nice. But yeah,
I agree.
is there any in terms of AI? Is there anything in particular like in that field that you guys look forward to?
Other than just helping out with improving the experience in games and increasing anti-AI or like yeah, I'd say anti-AI, using AI to combat AI. I don't really see much else. Well, I mean,
You're
it is
ex-
invading the STEM field and the art fields as well, but I'm not too concerned about that.
you're excited about AI stopping AI. That's what you're most excited about.
Correct. Yeah,
All right,
correct.
just trying to
Let
confirm.
them fight.
Correct. I think it will be incredibly necessary for everyone to have an offline AI that operates at a front end level or a back end level, I should say, that attempts to combat any AI interference in what goes on like your phone or your computer. I think that's going to be something that it'll be like Windows Defender, except it'll just be like an AI instead of like an antivirus. As weird as that sounds, yeah.
Alex and Blackheart.
So you were kind of like talking about how the AI can maybe like take over conversations for NPCs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that was honestly something I've like never like really thought about until you just said it. it kind of just makes sense because it's chatbots and all that. And thinking
Yeah.
about how that can like kind of carry games over and like fix a lot of the dialogue problems they have, or like how they're just poorly written, maybe could just make those type of solo player games just a lot better, a lot
It's
more
funny you
immersive.
mentioned that too. There was a test done when I forget it's called the Turing test, right? Where they test to see if an AI can be interpreted as a human, if someone believes that what they're talking to is a human being. And they taught an AI to use like online language in English that a lot of English players online use. And they sent it into RuneScape, like old school RuneScape, and they had it fish and just talk to people nearby. And every single person that talked to it thought it was a real person, and they had arguments with it and conversations with it. And that was a year ago. So think about how much things have
Yeah.
changed in a year.
No, Alex, 100%. I think in terms of RPGs, the most immediate place that AI is going to have its effect is in RPGs.
Hmm.
100%.
And it's just
Yeah, it's just like
basically,
something so simple that
yeah.
like just didn't really think about. I think so many games have that kind of like poorly written dialogue where it's just you don't really like know what's happening, or it's just like really simple options. So games
Yeah.
like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, you just can get a lot more immersed into it.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Feel like you're actually talking to someone that's real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word that comes to mind is immersion. When it comes to AI,
Yeah.
I just think immersion, immersion, immersion.
I think it's great for RPGs. 100%.
Blackheart, what about you? I know you're an RPG lover. I know you want your anime waifus to talk back to you,
Mhm.
all
Who
nice and
doesn't?
sweet.
Hey,
I need my anime wife.
No, I think for RPGs, the use of AI will be insane, but I won't repeat that answers because that's already been given. I
Yeah.
think AI that will allow for like competitive gamers to like train themselves. So you don't always have to like train against people will be nice.
I think that's
Um,
good.
it's like having a training tool. It's like being like, oh, like instead of just playing against people PvP and like wasting time on champ select and going through strategy stuff, you can just be like, all right, I'm gonna set these preset conditions on, an enemy team, uh, and my allied team, and we're just gonna fucking go in and you can just repeat that over and over. I think that'll be really good for practice.
Yeah.
As
Uh,
a bonus to that, like the something you could very easily do is train 5 AI on an entire team of players. So like, Fnatic, you could feed the AI, the videos of the individuals playing. You can even like record their solo games are very accessible. We can all go and watch them right now. Imagine just
yep.
training one AI on how Reckless plays and then being like, okay, I'm gonna face this guy in lane tomorrow. I need to, or next week I need to practice as much as possible. You can then face an AI version of fucking uh
Reckless. Yeah.
Reckless, yeah. Like so, no, you're not wrong. That is a place that I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you, until just now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
I'm way smarter than you, so it makes sense.
clearly,
Oh, true,
yes.
true.
So,
No, but I think AI is gonna have a ton of impact on gaming. I mean, it'll have impact on everywhere in society, but I think
Yeah.
I think it's so hard to fathom like where it's going right now. There's still so much that we have to see to even get to that point. But at the same time, it'll probably be here before we fucking know it. Like it may be 10, 20 years down the road, but that 10, 20 years will not feel very, very long. I feel like it's just gonna blow right by.
Yep. 100%.
yes, jumping back, I did want to talk about um the monetization of games and how these developers, the big studio developers, they're just kind of at a crossroads here when it comes to monetizing games. Um, a lot of them have talked about raising the price just from $60 to $70 and even going up higher than that. There's been a lot of talk about subscriptions. There's obviously microtransactions, and then on top of that, there's also this kind of underlying thing going on where you don't actually have ownership of your game. And when, obviously, like Steam's probably not going anywhere anytime soon, but if something like Steam went, bankrupt, you would pretty much no longer have access to your games. You guys heard about?
Yep.
There was somebody recently who went under, and pretty much everybody lost access to their digital content that they paid for full price.
Yep. That happened with EA. I've lost games I've had on EA that I purchased there, and EA removed the games, and I just didn't have access to them anymore. So I just essentially lost the value that I had spent on them, which sucks. And for Steam, fortunately, Steam is a really big marketplace for games, and it's probably one of the most profitable gaming companies. So I think they'll be fine for a very, very long time. So I don't think in our lifetime that's going to go down.
Steam also has like a function built in to play in like offline mode. Like you don't need to be like connected to Steam, right? So like if for some reason, God forbid, Steam imploded tomorrow, like a lot of these single player, non-multiplayer based games, you could still access theoretically.
Yeah, you just wouldn't be able to log into the Steam application. You'd have to access it on your local files, which is in your Steam apps.
Yeah,
which
which
is
I
on
means
your
I guess that
C
means that
drive.
you wouldn't be able to, like reacquire. Like you'd have to have all your stuff downloaded before it went under.
Yeah, correct. And for games that use a server, like Overwatch 2 or World of Warcraft, you're not going to be able to access games like those, assuming that those would be on Steam. I know World of Warcraft is not, but Overwatch 2 you would not be able to access regardless of whether you have it downloaded.
That's true. Very true. Yeah, I mean, the monetization angle, like, there's a lot of ways to think about it, but if they did go down a route of, I don't know, I could see a world, I guess, where like all these different things coexist at the same time. Like you have one platform that runs on a subscription model, one that is like physical copy only, one that's like the digital marketplace like Steam, and like all of them kind of coexisting at the same time. But it is an interesting point that you bring up that like with these digital versions, it's like if the provider goes down, then you don't have access anymore. I mean, it's pretty much what happened when like the Nintendo 3DS store went down, right? Like if you
Yeah.
didn't have your stuff downloaded on your 3DS, like you weren't going to be able to get it after that.
Nope, which sucked. Yeah. Another thing
Yeah.
is like it's kind of a trifecta. So you have the base price for a game, you have the microtransactions in a game, and you have the subscription model for a game. A game can only realistically have two of those and expect to maintain a good rapport with its customers. Otherwise, if you initiate the entire trifecta, you kind of just admit that you're not in it to create a game at that point. And so that's part of the issue with Dragon's Dogma is they provided a game with base game for a base price of 70, and then they have microtransactions, and then the game is just unfinished. Like it's not, or rather, I should say, it's poorly optimized, and the microtransaction model is predatory. I think if the microtransaction model wasn't predatory, they would have more legs to stand on. But you see, for things like World of Warcraft, they incorporate the entire trifecta, where it's you have to buy the base game, which is the expansion. You have to pay monthly to play the game, and then they shove microtransactions in front of your face. One of which being pay to win, which is the WoW token. And you can see how far down the game has fallen as a result of them trying to incorporate that trifecta monetization. And then if you look at other games with like Baldur's Gate, no microtransactions, you just pay the base price, and you have the game. And it's one of the best games of like the past few years, and it won a lot of awards. And it's one of my favorite games that I've played. So I would say that you can't go too hard on monetization. Otherwise, you end up losing customers, or you end up losing the vision for your game entirely. And that's part of why Dragon Dogmas 2 has such terrible reviews right now.
Yeah, I'd actually be curious to know. Like, I know Baldur's Gate was super popular, right? And it was a fan favorite, and for good reason. I am curious though, like how much money it made versus how much a not so beloved game that was more maybe optimally monetized made. I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious to actually. I wonder if I can find that real quick. How
Yeah,
much money did BG3 make?
it made a lot.
All
I
right,
think yeah.
$657 million in 2023.
Yeah, which is
Wow,
crazy.
this is
All
wild.
right, I'm trying to think of another. What was another big game last year that maybe wasn't so that was maybe more monetarily minded?
Lethal Company was in the top 10 for Steam. It was in the top 10. I don't know what the price was, but when you consider it was like $10, it was
It was
like
also, yeah, it
over
was like
100 million.
$10. Yeah,
It was like 100 million or something like that. Let me see.
I'm trying to think of like
Profit.
another game that had like mixed reviews last year, but like was more monetized. Fuck.
Yeah, when
Trying
you
to
think about it, Lethal Company was $10. It made 116 million.
What about Starfield? When did that come out?
Starfield's a good one. Starfield money made. It came out a few months ago. But
Wow.
let's see, estimated coming to 4-year span. In 1 year, the company projected. Oops, let me see. Oh, these are just projections.
First year was 600 million.
Yeah. So it about made as much as Baldur's Gate 3 did.
Yeah.
Really?
Which
Oh,
is
that's
crazy.
surprising.
Which is crazy considering how poorly, how bad of a game Starfield is. Like, I don't like Starfield.
Well,
I
I've
don't.
heard. I know a lot of people who like Starfield. Wait, Alex, you like Starfield, don't you?
I do not.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
See,
Daddy,
I-
how do you
I-
stop gaslighting your friends?
That's
How
Yeah,
about
so
that?
funny.
I played Star Citizen, if that's what you're thinking of.
Oh, that is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Star Citizen. Yeah.
Oh, let's actually. I'm gonna actually take a look how much money Cyberpunk made.
Oh,
Cyberpunk.
ooh, the
revenue.
Cyberpunk disaster when it first released. That was the funniest thing ever. That was a. Ooh, just thinking about it just makes me laugh. I can't even.
$116 million in revenue.
That's not good.
That's
Wow.
revenue though. That's not like
That's still not good. Doesn't
sales.
make
That's not sales. Yeah, that's
Oh.
different.
I mean, revenue. Yeah, revenue is net, I believe.
I'm trying to think of another example. Because like WoW's like not a. Oh, would a WoW expansion be a good example?
I mean, I would hope now. Let's see. Let me see. Let's see. WoW. I can't remember what Dragonflight's profit. Yeah, it doesn't even. Let me see revenue. Type in revenue. Revenue. World of Warcraft Dragonflight revenue doubled to 794 million in comparison to 2021.
Okay, so that made more. That expansion made more than Baldur's Gate 3 did.
Yeah, which is
Wow.
insane. That's not including the microtransactions.
Guys, get it? Wow. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Guys, get it? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Blizzard likes
Wow.
making money. It's a shocker.
No.
Oh,
Wow.
what about Diablo 4?
Wow.
Diablo 4.
Megan Fox buy her game. Megan Fox buy her game.
I was a little
That's
sad
literally.
when people didn't like that game because I actually thought it was okay.
It was okay, and the start was okay. It
Okay.
suffered from lacking the loop. It lacked the in-game
So
loop.
Diablo 4 made $666 million, so it was about equal to Baldur's Gate 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Blizzard fumbles at all. They make so much money. Like I don't get it. I don't understand. Like,
Called the suffering from
makes-
success.
they
You have
make
so much money that you don't know what to do with it. So
they
you hire the
make-
wrong people, and yeah.
they make so much money, dude. Like they're
Yeah.
making as much money that, these people take 10, 15 years to make. They make it in like a year. Like what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah. It's crazy, and it's like I doubt they're gonna fix their path. I doubt they're gonna have a come to Jesus meeting or anything like that. They're gonna be how they are for a while until they near the point, which is it's just not gonna happen. They're gonna be like this forever probably. We'll see what happens. So I did like the changes that I saw recently in World of Warcraft. You can drag and ride anywhere now. You can't just only drag and ride in the Dragonflight area. You can also go to Stormwind, Orgrimmar, anywhere else, and use your dragon riding mount, which is a great addition. Like not as much fun policing as there was before, and I think that's excellent. As well as Diablo 4, they're making item optimization changes, which is going to come in Season 4, which people are very hopeful about, and I'm very hopeful about as well.
Well, yeah, I hope all those things come to fruition. One of the final topics that I wanted to talk on was I don't know if this really applies to any of us, but VR, virtual reality, and augmented reality. I know
It
there's.
applies to me.
Are you an enjoyer?
I mean, I worked for a VR company before I joined the Navy,
Oh, okay.
if you
Well,
recall. I
no,
guess you
I
don't. I
love
guess you
VR.
don't really care
I
about me,
don't.
which is
Oh,
fair,
yeah.
par for the
I
course for
don't
you,
care.
Dougie. But okay,
That's
yeah,
true.
sure,
I don't
yeah,
give a fuck.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
sure.
yeah, I mean, like you've lost your humanity. You're spending so much time in VR. Like your family misses you. You need to come out to the dinner table.
No, I'm gonna spend time with my virtual waifu. Damn it,
Oh,
and playing super hot.
your
It's
dad
very
probably just shed a tear.
it's very hard for me to know like how much this is catching on or not, just because there's always the agenda from big tech to push that like, oh, everyone's playing, everyone's buying the new Meta Quest, blah blah
I
blah, or
don't. I
Yeah,
don't think
Apple
VR
Pro.
gaming is I don't think VR gaming is like mega popular. It's got a pretty hefty price tag behind it. You have to have a really good computer on top of the equipment that it costs for like a good VR setup, right? Like the ones that you need like a whole room to dedicate to.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the newer
Like the
equipment
headsets.
with the headsets, and you don't need any of that extra stuff. It usually just has the controllers, and it uses the external cameras to see hand movement and feet
Like
movement.
MetaQuest 3.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
MetaQuest
those
3,
are
Apple Vision.
those aren't too bad, but like they aren't as I mean obviously they're not going to have the same level of immersion as the other like room based sets. Like I've played in room based sets. I've played on like the track pads, right? That like you can move on them and like it'll kind of keep you in place. So you aren't like walking off and stuff. I've played in like the rooms. I've used headsets. And pretty recently too. I've actually considered waiting for like a big jump or like the next big thing for VR room setups, and then I'm gonna get that for my computer.
Hmm.
But it's very fun. Like if you've certain games are just like amazing in VR. Like it's so crazy. Like before I really dabbled in it, I thought it was like kind of gimmicky, but even like the simple ones, like the right game in VR can be so nuts. Like I've heard that like No Man's Sky in VR is amazing. I've dabbled it a little bit and like I can totally see it. I've heard like a game like Subnautica is amazing in VR.
Oh
The
wow.
one that I love is like Beat Saber and Super Hot. Those are really fun.
Yeah, I like Beat Saber a lot. I also like VR chat. I think VR chat's pretty funny. You can talk with a lot of people.
Yeah, VR chat. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
VR
I
chat's
think
pretty. Yeah.
yeah, I think it takes a special type of game to be like good in VR or like good in like cheap VR. But
100%.
I think when VR becomes more commercially viable and optimized, like even for like multiplayer games, like it's gonna be like insane. Like if you've never tried VR gaming, I would 100% recommend that you try it for sure. Like there are some things that are like really really good in VR. Trust.
Yeah, no, I played Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil the
Oh
original,
yeah.
on it, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, scary games in VR I can see being insanely amazing, especially if you have like one of those good headsets that like has like a stereo like right in your ear, like gives you like the sort of close in surround sound.
Yeah, I have Pro X wireless, so for me, I have all surround sound with the 7.1
Oh
DTS
yeah.
or whatever it's called. So for me, it was an enjoyable experience. I love the boat ride that you do, where you go on the lake and you have to shoot the harpoon at the guy. That was a lot of fun in VR.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't recommend it if you're motion sick prone though.
Yeah, that's true. And VR can be really rough for people that get motion sick.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex? Do you ever do any VR gaming?
I have never played a VR game.
You gotta try it.
Never, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I've always wanted to try, but I don't
Yeah,
have
I would wait for the Christmas sale for MetaQuest 3 that will inevitably come at the end of the year.
Yeah, I thought about it, but it's like one of those things where there's not really too many things I was interested in, like game-wise. At
Yeah.
least I haven't really looked too much into it now. There's probably a lot more than when I looked,
Yeah, no, it's been changing as time goes on, and also you can there's certain games that are like on Steam that are compatible with VR, so you don't even really need to purchase the game. You can always just play games that you already own on your computer and just attach a cable.
Yeah, I think the extent of VR games back when I was looking into it was like Pavlov, and that's about it.
Pavlov is still a great game. They've made a lot of updates.
Pov.
Yep.
Yeah, VR is good. If you haven't tried it, I very much recommend it. It's super awesome. But I think there's still a lot of ironing out that needs to be done. Like the
Yeah.
last big VR release that I remember, and this was even a little while ago, was Half-Life Alex.
Yeah.
I don't
That was
think that
excellent.
was as smooth as it could have been.
I thought it was good. I liked it personally. That was just me. I think the FPS had issues at certain times, but for the most part, I thought it was okay. I would
I
give it
thought
like
just
a 6.5.
yeah. I didn't like the way you had to like move around. Like that
I
just
did not. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that 100%.
yeah. I think if like you could have had more free range of motion. And granted, like your range of motion is going to be limited unless you have like a trackpad, which is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
VR games can be a little rough otherwise.
Yeah, I think there was one VR headset which I don't think it was this one. I forget what the name of it was, but it's one where it doesn't require you to have a base. Well, I think it does require a base station, but it's entirely wireless. It's incredibly lightweight, and the field of view is like 40 or 50 degrees bigger than the MetaQuest 2, and it's a lot more immersive. And I forget the name of it though. I honestly can't remember the name.
Yeah. One thing I think VR will be really good for in the future, doing like virtual tabletops,
Oh yeah,
like D&D experiences and
I
stuff.
think
or
MetaQuest
other
3
board
does
games.
that currently. It does AR using the
Ooh.
camera, so you can actually do alternate reality tabletop games.
That's pretty cool.
I do feel like
It's-
we just this year with the release of Pro and MetaQuest 3, I think we're like just hitting that version 1. I know it says MetaQuest 3, but I think like we've just kind of hit version 1, like the beginning of the iPhone or like the Windows or Pixel or whatever. I think we've just hit that very first model where people are like kind of taking a peek at it and they're like, you know what? I like where this is going. I'm gonna start now. So I've kind of been paying attention too, and I think this is a. I look forward to where it's going. I think it looks pretty cool. The
I agree.
immersion level that you can get from quite a few different games and different genres, and even from a social setting. Um, I think it's pretty
Yeah, as
cool.
long
It's starting to get there.
as long as it doesn't turn to Surrogate with Bruce Willis, that'll be fine. I, I don't. I don't think anyone's watched Surrogate in a long time though.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Am I old? Am I old now? Is this what age feels like?
Wait, what do you? Bruce Willis? Isn't that guy who's in Die Hard? What do you?
I think he's in the pacifier.
He did
Pacifier?
Surrogate. You guys aren't. Did you guys never watch Surrogates?
Doesn't
I
he
think it was.
host a
was Vin Diesel.
podcast? Yeah,
Does
the
he?
Insider? No, no.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah, it was Surrogates, 2009. Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
It has a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. You've never seen it?
No, I'm in the 37% thinks it's crap.
I think he made the 63%.
They just didn't watch it. They would have thought it was good.
Oh yeah, you see, that's how you know it really is bad. Is when the audience score is the same as the critic score.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you guys would like to talk about here before we wrap up?
No, I think we pretty much covered most of the concerns and
I'm good. Alex, do you have
interests.
anything to say?
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
That's good. I will thank you both for coming on and giving us your views on gaming and the industry and where you think it's going and where you
Absolutely.
think it is. And my God, Braden, you're a bigger gamer than I fucking thought.
Am I?
Yeah, you knew pretty much every game ever mentioned. So
Oh. I mean, I need to go outside. I've been trapped inside here for too long.
yeah,
This
just
is
put
your
on-
daily reminder. Go touch some grass.
Go touch grass. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I don't really play that many games. I kind of just chill and do my own thing, and then an actual conversation pops up, like, oh yeah, I know about that, and then it's like, why do I know about that? I need to go outside.
It's fine. Just
Yeah.
put
Well,
on your.
Braden and Alex, thank you both so much.
Yeah, for
Dougie,
sure.
I guess thanks to you too.
Oh yeah, maybe. Thank you. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of whatever.